everybody, and welcome back to the channel. For today's video, I wanted to talk to you today about the narcissist and really the etiology, what makes them a narcissist. So let's jump in. So the whole problem with the narcissist and the reason they become who they are is fear. Fear and the thought of getting things the cheap way or through theft, which is the same mentality, the same thought process. It's the same mindset. You know, we talk about mindsets here on this channel a lot. And this is the mindset that they tend to agree with, believe, and they do it out of fear. And this is what really leads them to who they are. They believe there's always an easy button, or that they can take the shortcut, that there's an easy pill, that they can rob people, steal from people, lie to people, maneuver and manipulate, and fake things, wear a mask. And that is the mindset that is ingrained in their head. And it's out of fear. That's why it says in the word, don't fear. Fear not, for I am with you. You know, my rod and my staff, they'll comfort you. And when they prepare a table amongst you in the presence of your enemies, you will not be touched. And you have to walk in the faith and believe in that. Because a lot of times when you watch all of this stuff on the news and all of these things that you hear, it's all fear-based. It's pumping fear into the societies of this world, and that fear keeps you in a fight or flight type process, or a process of not abundant and not in a love type mentality, thought process, mindset. And they do this on purpose because, well, that's what's running the world. The world system is run off narcissism. That's why it's such a secret. And it's out of greed, it's out of lust, and it's out of the takedown of humanity, not the propping up of. And until we learn that, and until we shut off all of these negative things that we're watching, listening to, and reading, are we going to understand what's really going on, the main scope of things, the macro version and vision of what they have entailed for your demise. And the narcissist runs it. So you have the hierarchy, the politicians, those are the successful ones. They're probably generational, and they have old money, and they have built fortresses around them, fortresses to prop them up. And they promote a certain narrative. And maybe they're in different sectors of the community or different sectors of government, and maybe, you know, they're in Hollywood and they're in church, they're everywhere, and they promote a certain narrative. And it's a body of the enemy. Just as Christ has a body, his church, his true church, his remnant, so the enemy is going to be the flip of him. So if Christ has a body, so does the enemy. And he does. And this is how it looks, this is how it works, and this is what it perpetuates. And when you fear all of these things, when you watch the news, when you watch all these things, and you're not living properly, then you're uncovered, you're not protected, and you're making bad decisions. You're living in a fear-based mentality. So you're out for yourself, similar to the narcissist. You know, they want to make you as much a narcissist as they can. If you're not going to become one, but if they can make you a toxic enabler or somebody who thinks in toxic ways to keep this vibration of this earth system low, if you can keep it vibrating low, what they do is when that fear is pumped out and you accept it, you receive it, you consent to it, you make covenants, contracts, and consents to it, and your boundaries are down because you're watching it and you're listening to it. You're looking at it for knowledge, wisdom, understanding, all these things. then you are unprotected from that. You're unprotected from abundance, from love, from drawing in good things. So where does that energy go? Because everything becomes energy. That energy is funneled. It's funneled to the dark side. It's funneled, y'all. They funnel energy. Just as the narcissist takes energy from you on a micro level, meaning you and them, you have to know that on a macro level, systems of governments and all of these people in high places. This is the Ephesians 6:12, y'all. This is what Ephesians 6:12, this is what it is. You wrestle not with flesh and blood, but principalities, powers, and thrones in high places. It doesn't have to mean invisible angelic fallen hosts flying around fighting. These are people, y'all. These are these principalities and powers and these thrones. They're all people housing these creatures, promoting this evil and putting and witchcraft and spell work involved in it, and it promotes their agenda, and you're following it out like sheep. I'm not saying you in particular, but the masses, the collective out there, the world. And if the narcissist runs off chaos, everything they do is chaos. Their order comes out of chaos. That's what the cult always says as well. That's what witchcraft says and the cult says, and that's what everybody that sold their souls will tell you. They get order out of chaos. God is order to order. The enemy is order out of creating chaos. So when you see all these different countries fighting and arguing, all these mini wars, battles, and all this stuff, you got to know that they created this chaos for us to fight, for their benefit, for their opportunity to create more mayhem, for them to get the order that they want, for us to let down more boundaries, for us to give them more control, for us to believe more lie. What did the guys do with the talents? You know, that the landowner left one guy with 3 talents, one with 2, and one with 1. It wasn't how many talents they got left with, because they were going to all be abundant as long as they obeyed. And they used their talents to gain more talents in the word, right? And when he came back, there was the man with 1 talent. And what did he do? He said that you were a shrewd taskmaster. That's what he felt. But that was something that he imagined. And, but what the landowner really was he wasn't frivolous. That was the thing. He wasn't frivolous. He made good decisions, but he also knew there was going to be one out there that wasn't going to do well. That's why that guy had 1 talent, but he still gave him a chance. And it was just to show us through that parable exactly what's going on here. And he said out of fear, he buried his talent. He never used it. And he was going to dig it up when the landowner came back and give it back to him. But the other 2, the one with 3 and the one with 2 talents, they doubled up. They quadrupled. They invested. They learned. They chiseled out some more talents so they could start their own thing, or to have a greater thing with the landowner, a greater investment with the landowner that was going to perpetuate goodness and help others. But the one with 1 talent would be as if the narcissist. They are so in fear, they can never get courage to take off the mask, to stop living a lie. And they are always in the belief that if they cheat and lie enough and manipulate enough, that they'll get away with some sort of riches, some sort of prosperity. But they're believing a fantasy. If straight up and down is the truth, the fantasy is always just branching off into nowhere. Well, they're way over here. They have no truth in them. And at some point, they believe that fantasy of lying, cheating, stealing is going to bring them great fortune and whatever. That they lose themselves. And then they got a copycat. Then they got to use other people because they have nothing, no talents of their own. They buried them, and they buried them so long, they lost the official title of who they are, what they represent, what they were supposed to truly embody. They didn't use it, so they lost it. And that was their own opportunity, and that's why we have opportunity here. God wants us to make choices. He wants us to choose where we want to be and who we want to align with. And if we make the poor choice, then that's on us. That's what free will is. He doesn't want people in heaven that he forces to be in heaven. He wants people in heaven that want to be there, that align with his ordinances, his rules, his life, his abilities. They believe in him and he believes in them. Thank you for watching.